she want you. First off, I don't drink no Bombay, but I sip on some Hennessy. If you want me, call me. I'm on my way from the Bay, so what you say? Pull up to the IE or LA. Tell me what's the play. I've been thinking about you all day, and I can't wait to feel your embrace, baby. From the very first time that I banged your line, try to make you mine on a Friday night. Do you remember you was taking me on, but you gave me, turned me on. So we got in your car, radio on. It was hella cold, but I kept you warm. It was ending of summer at the marina. Before I took all your damn clothes off. Do you wanna get involved? Do you wanna fall in love? Do you wanna be my baby? I ain't never give my heart to anybody else, so baby, don't break. I waited so long, yeah, for you to come on, yeah. Waited so long for you to come on. Come on.
I was strolling through the park when I seen this broken heart. Had to fix it from the start. I think I might be crazy. Yeah. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Yeah. Till she hopped up in my car and she swiping on my cards. Baby, you can have it all. Cause even when they hate me, yeah, but then I said to myself, oh yeah, I wanna get next to you. You like a blessing, girl, I'm blessed with you.
Talofa, and Talofa. Welcome into Buddha's Lounge under Everyday People Pacifica chapter. We have already been talking. This show's only live for an hour, but we've been going at it. Me and the nephew been going at it. We'll get to introductions really, really quick. Want to say this show's powered by Canna Fan Fest. Go on the website and find out how to get your free ticket to Canna Fan Fest happening September 27th at Granary Live. A lot of local artists. CannaFanFest.com. Also powering today's show is Honolulu Grill from 3 to 5 every day. That's Aloha hours. You can go check out Kava Aid and the original butter cake. Get 10% off. But today, I want to recap exactly where I met this young Uso. You've seen his videos. You've seen his Instagrams, his memes. But we just met this past weekend at Day One, Utah. Their back to school event.
Absolutely.
I had to have you come on to the show. If you don't know Smaqs Mafia, you're going to know him today. We'll have him do his introduction. Usually when we start with guests, just like any Polynesian.
Absolutely.
Wait, you're Polynesian? Solid. What's your last name? I want to know. Are we related? Are we a cousin? Yeah. So to that, and if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and giving some love to your islands, whether they're Samoan, whether they're from America.
Absolutely.
Just a little origin story of Smaqs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who you from, brother?
So my bloodline, my mom on my Samoan side is really from Fangsa, American Samoa. Gaifang is the last name. And I'm actually Afgasi, so I'm half Mexican. My dad is straight from Sonora, Mexico. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they both migrated to America, and it was history after that. You know what I mean? And as far as myself, I'm originally from San Diego, California. I came out here to the state of Utah in 2007. And at that time, I was still young, so I was still running and gunning and doing my thing, which eventually was able to propel me into my purpose. You know what I mean? Which I found later on in life. But that's a little bit about me.
You've been going through the refiner's fire
Absolutely.
for a while, it sounds like. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Podcast host, community advocate, incarceration advocate, if you will. We'll get to all of that. I want to take it back to young Smaqs. You grew up in San Diego. A product, like most of us, a lot of us, or not I don't want to speak for everybody, but a lot of us came from humble beginnings.
Absolutely.
Mom and dad had to work 2 jobs. Some of us had moms, some of us had dads, some of us had one or the other, right? Whatever the circumstance was. Tell me about that part. How did you find your way navigating through living in San Diego as a person who has Mexican and Samoan heritage?
Absolutely. So, my parents were ex-gang members. You know what I mean? My mom and my dad. Both my parents were from Mexican gangs. Even my mom is full Samoan, and she landed in a predominantly Mexican neighborhood. So that influence was there, you know what I mean? Yeah. So my mom and my dad were gangbangers, But as far as I could remember from back in the day when I started remembering, my mom and dad you know, they gave their life to God at a young age. You know, they were I want to say their 20s because, you know, my dad had been to prison. My mom was suffering from ailments that, you know, were affecting her from being a good person or a good parent or however they were going through, right? So they gave their life to God. And, you know, me growing up, I was Afghasi, like I said, half Samoan, half Mexican. And I've spoke about this before. I didn't feel like I got, you know, I didn't get as much of the love that I probably felt I could have from one side. And you know, and so that led me to be raised more on my Samoan side, you know what I mean? And, you know, growing up, you know, having that identity fight going on in your head will played a big role in my life because you know my dad, like I said, my dad was an essay. It was like, homie, you talk, my dad like, come on, Holmes, you talk like a black fool. You know what I mean? You know, like my dad, right? Like, come on, son, you're Mexican too. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, dealing with that, but you're gonna gravitate towards who you gravitate towards at a young age. I grew up with all my cousins. My mom, I come from my mom got a lot of sisters, so I got a lot of cousins. And really quick,
because you did mention you grew up in San Diego.
Yeah.
Did you have any of the other things available? Because you think San Diego, it's a beautiful town, it's a beautiful city. Well, how come you didn't surf? How come you didn't just play sports? How come, you know,
man, that's a great
lot of people ask those questions.
Yeah.
You live in San Diego, Smaqs. Come on, bro. There had to have been some opportunities.
I could probably say, I could probably say, growing up in San Diego my whole life, I've probably been to the beach like 5 times.
Come on.
You know what I mean? I lived in Southeast San Diego. For those of you guys who don't know what Southeast San Diego is, do your homework. Southeast San Diego is the 40s, rolling 41, 45, and 47. That's neighborhood Crip. And I grew up in a Crip neighborhood, you know what I mean? Jail Felony, Bullet Loco. He's from, I could give it to you, but what you gonna do with it? He's from 41st, you know what I mean? And so the hood consists of 41, 45, and 47. And 45th Street is all Samoans. That's Samoan Crip 45th Street. So, you know, that's inner Southeast. That's like
San Diego.
Yeah, that's like miles.
Sunshine.
Yeah, that's miles from the beach. You know what I mean? So I didn't really go to the beach very often. You know what I mean? So we grew up in poverty. You know, and a lot of people can attest to this. A lot of our Polynesian people, you know, growing up poor. You know, my parents didn't have money. Both drop out of high school. You got 5 kids, 2 parents living in a 2-bedroom apartment. You know what I mean? And Sai Mingy for dinner. You know,
hustle's real.
Yeah, you know, living off the. You know, my dad fortunately was a you know, he's Mexican, so you know that's instinctual. He's a hardworking man.
He's a hustler anyway.
You know what I mean? So he's always worked. He's always did his hardest, man. Shout out to my pops, man. He don't give himself enough credit. You know what I mean? And you know, he provided for us as best as he could. But when you grow up, you know, when you're a have-not. You know what I mean? You're growing up and you're a have-not, and you're around people who have it. You know, it's instinctual that you're gonna want it. You know, especially growing up, you're gonna want the shoes, you're gonna want the clothes. So you're gonna do what you gotta do by any means to get it. And if you're in an environment of robbing, looting, drug dealing, that's the game you pick up. So unfortunately, you know, I started young and started early in that lifestyle. You know, eventually it played a role, like put me where I was, you know what I mean? So,
but it also sounds like if you fast forward to where you're at now, like you said, it really puts you in a place to prepare you for your calling.
Absolutely.
Prepare you for your purpose, right?
Absolutely.
You didn't know back then. I mean, for all you knew, that was going to be your life for the rest of it, right?
Absolutely.
You were going to do that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But you were getting prepared.
Yeah.
You were going through the fire.
And it's funny you say that because, you know, growing up, you know, I don't know if all of our people feel this, but I've always felt like, you know, I was meant for something else. Even growing up, walking in the streets, and not only that, you know, being around people who it's their reality that they're gonna be gangbanging and drug dealing their whole life. It's their reality, and they know that. And then being so young and being able to articulate how I feel and how I felt about myself, I always knew there was something different. So at that time, you know, I thought, you know, I was gonna be a big rapper. You know, me and my brothers,
who did it?
Yeah, you know what I mean. We could freestyle.
We all know,
bro.
Especially when you know you're poly and you got some Latino in you.
Absolutely.
Oh, I got rhythm.
Yeah,
what you talking about?
You know, so it's like, man, so you know, having that chip on your shoulder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and then eventually later on down the line, you know, I know I'm somebody.
Gosh, bro.
You know what I mean?
I'm over here tripping because you got two warrior cultures.
Absolutely.
You got Mexican on one shoulder, you got
Best of both
Samoan on the
worlds.
other. Oh my gosh, bro.
Absolutely.
You fighting all the time.
Absolutely.
You was fighting all the time.
Absolutely, man. And you know, it's funny because when I went to when I caught my case that I ended up going sitting down for a long time, they caught me in San Diego, you know, and back home because I went back home on the run. And when I hit the main line in San Diego County, you know, like I said, dude, I'm Afghasi, but you know, I was raised on my Samoan side, but there's no Samoans in there. You know, there's
so
no
you gotta go.
Well, yeah. So what it was is my dad came and visited me one time, and all the other Southsiders, all the other guys were in the visiting, and my dad had Sureño right here on his hand. So they saw his hand, and when I finished my visit, they said, "Hey, fool, you're gonna come eat with us, dog. Homie, here's a soup, dog. I saw your pops. You're gonna chill with us." Hey, and so I'm like, "All right, cool, yeah, cool." I'm like, "For sure." I come sit down, eat. Next rec, the key holder comes up, and the key holder, mind you, is younger than me, but he's a key holder. He came and he said, "Hey, homie, let's talk, dog." I was like, "What's up, homie?" He said, "Homie, you Mexican?" I was like, "Yeah, dog, I'm half Mexican." He said, "Hey, homie, I saw your pops, dog. Who you gonna ride with? Who you gonna ride with us or what?"
Gosh.
And I mean, what am I gonna say?
Right.
I'm Mexican, so
can't deny your own culture.
Yeah, I'm like, for sure. Of course. I said, man, of course, man. I'm Mexican. I'm with y'all. I'm with the function. If shit pops off, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he said, all right, you can't eat with another race. You can't share commissary with another race. And if you do, you got to come get permission first. You know what I mean? So it's really structured in San Diego County. It's really like that. Like, this is our table. This is where we eat. You don't eat at any other table.
Jeez.
So check this out. I'm chilling, right? I've been in there for about a month. Guess who comes walking in?
A Samoan?
Short, yeah. Short, stocky Samoan. And he's like, I'm like, damn, hey, what's up, Oos? He's like, what's up, Oos? We shake hands. I'm like, damn, I see his, because in San Diego County, you got your tag and it has your last name. So like, his last name is Seau Oos. And I said, hey, Oos. I said, damn, nigga, your last name's Seau. He said, yeah, Oos Junior Seau's my brother. I'm his little brother.
Oh, no.
I was like, dang, for real? And he's like, yeah, Oos, I ingu too much, man. I drink too much, man. So I you know, fussing somebody and they put me out here. So I was like, damn, that's what's up. So I was like, man, so now I find somebody that I was, you know, I can
How
relate
do your Mexican
to.
brothers
so
feel?
yeah, I go and they see me kicking with him. I go and hey Grims, he's like, what's up, fool? I'm like, hey homie, hey, check it out, dog. You see the poly dude came in, right? He's like, yeah. I'm like, damn, homie, is it cool if I go chill with him and go eat with him and just post up? You know what I mean? He was like, nah, dog, you can't, homie. I was like, damn. All right. And what am I gonna do?
Right.
I'm in the South Side.
Survival.
Yeah, I gotta do what I gotta do. So I mean, I'll chill with
Does
him.
he understand?
Yeah,
I'm sure you got to tell him, hey man, you understand the politics.
So what? Yeah. So that's what he was like. He was like, damn, Moose, I see you over there at the South Side of the table. I was like, yeah. I was like, nigga, I see my nigga.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was like, damn, that's what's up. But luckily, you know, he got rolled out, put to a different section for some reason, and it didn't become an issue.
It would have been tough.
Yeah, because you know, I for sure I would have been sharing, you know, may I with him.
It would have been tough.
For sure I would have been, yeah, fight Skako, may I, let's eat, grab the side mingy, and it would have been an issue. But fortunately, you know, it didn't. But
I was going to ask you about that. How do you go into a place, you obviously have two sides of your heritage. And in prison, you have to decide.
Yeah,
They make you choose.
They make you choose, especially in California.
And sometimes defense. Sometimes you have to defend things.
Yeah,
and it's just the way the things are.
You get put in situations that play out. And like I said, in out there in California, you know, I was waiting to get extradited to Utah, so I was already like, cool. I'm not gonna have to deal with the politics. Like they really strict out there. You know, if I would have hit the main line because I was on that car in county, it would have been the same thing. I would have been on the same energy in prison. And dude, those guys out there, they're cutthroat. Yeah. They're cutthroat, dude. Sometimes guys goes in there with 6 months and end up with life charges because of
that. Is cruel.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? You're leading me into a place I want to ask you about. I did hear this. Not everybody's trying to get out.
Yeah,
I've heard that. Now, if that's a misconception, we're going to hear straight from Smaqs Mafia. So don't go anywhere. We're going to take a break. We'll listen to a Canna Fan Fest artist. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, what do we have, babe? Sorry, tell me. Stan Walker. That's okay. We'll play some Stan Walker. He was here. Had a concert here in Utah. Shout out to the Kiwi brother. But we'll come back.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you about again. We're just learning more about our advocate and our brother Smaqs. So don't move muscle. We'll be right back.
Let's go.
Is it getting better? Or do you feel the same? Will it make it easier on you now? You got someone to blame. You say one love, one life, it's one need in the night, one love, we get to share it. Leaves you, baby, if you don't even care for it. Yeah. Did I disappoint you or leave a bad taste in your mouth? You act like you never had love, and now you want me to go without. Well, it's too late tonight to drag the past out into the light. We're one, but we're not the same. We carry each other, carry each other. One.
Yeah.
Charges. Talofa, and welcome back into Buddha's Lounge under Everyday People. We are with our special guest today, Smaqs Mafia. So, wow, clever, can I need more? Oh, give me something on the name right
Absolutely,
here, bro.
it was all-
That name's fire, bro.
Yeah,
That
good
name's
looking,
fire.
good looking.
But if you don't know, you got to go like and follow his accounts. I'm sure there are many people. My cousins, they're trying to do some of the stuff. You probably worked with them. They used to go by Cobra.
Oh, yeah,
the Bosco, the Amma brothers.
Okay, yeah.
Sui and them. They just got out and they're trying to do their own thing. Those are my first cousins on my mom's side. They've been in the system for a while, so we're trying to do stuff together. But I saw your stuff first, and
Appreciate
I just
that,
wanted to
man.
make sure anybody that's doing good for our people, I want to try to give them the flowers.
Absolutely.
You have been doing it before anybody else. You were the first one I saw, so that's why we wanted to bring you on. We last left everybody off on the question about the men that are incarcerated behind bars. I've heard some of them don't want to come home.
Yeah.
Is that true? And is that a problem? Is that something that needs to be fixed, or we should
Absolutely.
let them be?
Absolutely.
Tell me what that.
So
comes from.
I can speak for, right, the Utah Department of Corrections, because that's where I did my 7 years. That's
Good.
where I did the bulk of my time, right? And for sure, there are guys, like I said, you have guys that's their reality. They don't know any different. Their reality is to be coming in and out of prison, in and out of prison, in and out of prison. And sometimes they don't have the resources or the wherewithal to try to learn to be something different. So that's all they know.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, right? We got a lot of guys in there. There was I don't want to say specifics about his name, but he'd been incarcerated for 25 years, and he was in when he was 18, right? And he caught a case in the 90s. And he recently got out. They let him out, finally let him out after like 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
He got out, and within 3 months, he was back into prison. He was back in. And I remember talking to him before, about hey, Oos, man, you gotta, you could be let out. Just do these programs, they'll let you out, Oos. He's like, man, Oos, this is all I know, though. This is all I know.
Wow.
I don't know paying bills. I don't know relationship with let's keep it a buck. I don't know relationship with women. I don't know what that looks like. You know what I mean?
See, we don't think about that.
Nah.
Regular folks don't think
Absolutely
about.
not.
Man.
And there's a lot of things. And he went at a young age and we're in a predominantly white state.
Yeah.
So at that time there wasn't many of us in there. He was the first in the early 90s. He was the first. So he was by the time I went to prison in 2013, I got arrested in 2012. I hit the main yard in 2013, the beginning of 2013, January. And by the time I was there, this man has been incarcerated 25 years and trailblazed the way that the Polynesians, right, were a very strong force in the Utah Department of Corrections. So when I hit the yard, I didn't have to worry about getting stabbed. I didn't have to worry about none of that because this man paved that way. But that goes to show you all the scars that he built, all the callous that he went through in mental and physical in prison, to where you have men like that don't know how to function in the outside world. And
men
some
like
of them,
that are needed for
Yeah.
for it's making
Absolutely.
it's easing the way of new inmates.
Absolutely.
Right? They don't have to go through the heavy lifting.
They don't.
But that also comes with you have to understand and respect where it came from.
Absolutely.
The reason why you can walk through the yard like that is because somebody else paid the price.
that, and
right?
that's
It's
exactly how
okay.
it was. You know what I mean? And to go back to your question, right? That if there's inmates that they don't care about getting out, right? So you have those inmates, but you also have men, specifically our brothers, right? Like Kimoana, Fanua, a lot of these guys, some of the guys have already got out. Shione Kauvaka, C1, he's another one. He right now, man, shout out to C1. He's a peer support advocate for I don't want to name the company he works for, but he's a peer support advocate, and he's doing great work. And he was incarcerated for over 25 years too.
As they should be with their life
Absolutely.
experiences, because as I told you
Absolutely.
this, if life were a corporation, everyone that served time would be a freaking multi-million-dollar consultant.
Absolutely.
You know?
And it's like you got that, but then you got the flip side of the coin. Like I said, like my other counterpart, or other Uso that got out. Actually, he's a Toko, the other Toko that got out, and he was incarcerated almost a little bit more than Shone, but he chose the other route. So you are going to have those, and you're constantly going to have those, you know what I mean? And in the Utah State Prison, they offer programs. They offer ways for you to educate yourself. They offer all these different substance abuse treatment.
Yeah.
They offer these avenues for you to fully exhaust, to be able to learn yourself and learn to become a better man. So when you do hit those gates, you are ahead of the curve now.
Yeah.
You weren't in prison. I wasn't in prison getting high the whole time.
Yeah.
I didn't get high once in prison. I wasn't in prison continuing to be an addict. So when I got out, was I still addicted to drugs? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I had got everything together. I became the best version of myself from behind bars, for my wife, for my kids, for my bloodline. So when I step out these gates, I'm good. I don't got to worry about that no
You
more.
bring up something very important, I think. You've laid out pretty much what every inmate goes through to work their way to this point.
Absolutely.
And what I want to mention here, if you wouldn't mind talking about
go
it,
ahead.
is the other half now has to meet them. Regardless of all the good work these men and women have done to get them here, GED, whatever that is, right?
Yep.
Okay, they still need help from the outside.
I love
and
that.
that's why I love talking about this part. Okay, yeah,
that's a
you're
great
an
question.
example of all the men and women that have worked themselves up to
Yeah.
here. Now you need the community to step
Absolutely.
up and say, Sole, I see what y'all doing. I'm going to come and help you.
Absolutely.
Is there a lot of that? Is there a lot of effective groups that are coming through and helping the men and women? Like
So there are effective groups, right? And I've said this before. No matter all the accolades and what I've accomplished while incarcerated, therapy, 2 years of therapy, one-on-one therapy, got out with a college degree, got out with a high school diploma, did all kinds of life skills management classes to become the better person. That would mean nothing if I got out into the community and I wasn't given that chance.
That part.
I wasn't given that one chance.
Yeah.
You know, when I got out of prison, you know, I built a relationship with my college professor, which was Mike Serasio from Davis Tech, and I did culinary arts. And you know, I built a relationship with him. He knew I was about my business. He said, "Here, take this card." He said, "When you get out, I want you to go to Red Lobster. Go over there. There's a woman over there. She's the manager of Red Lobster, and I already told her how great of a person you are, and that you're ready to get out." And I got out. Within a week of being out, I sat in front of her, told her. She knew my story. She knew that I was incarcerated. But when I told her my story, she sat there and cried. She said, "Man, I want to hire you right now." And it's been history ever since. So if that woman did not take the chance, to give me that chance, who knows where I would have been? Who knows?
But also you got to remember too, not even just her, but your friend, the guy that's suggested, because that guy has to be trustworthy.
Absolutely.
Right? That guy has to be able to say, hey, they trust me and I'm going to send you something. They trust him so much, they just took you at his word.
Absolutely.
So that's, networking.
Absolutely.
You know, relationship.
That's
very
exactly
important.
what that was. That was my first experience of a beneficial networking.
Yes.
A beneficial
There
networking
you go.
where it wasn't just something that was talked about, it was something that was brought to fruition into my reality, right? And Oos, You know, I didn't work growing up. Oops, I didn't work. I sold drugs. I robbed people. I did that. You know, and then when I met my wife, I've been with my wife for over 20 plus years. When I met her, you know, she had a great life. She worked. She was a good girl, right?
Yeah.
You know, but I was still doing what I was doing, so I didn't know any different.
So you say she like bad
I didn't
boys?
know. Yeah,
That's right. Just heard what you
it's
said.
usually what it
She's
is.
like a bad boy. Oh.
Yeah, so
God
it's
will
like,
fight.
so when I went to prison, you know, I knew one day they were gonna let me out. It's not rocket science. Smaqs, and this is why I tell Smaqs, you don't got a high school diploma, you can't get a job. Get your high school diploma. Got my high school diploma. Within 4 months, I got 26 credits, 2 credits over. So when I did that, it wasn't just the fact that I got a high school diploma. You know what it showed me, Uso? It showed me, I said, damn, I'm smart. I could do anything that I want. So with that energy being exuded, I thought to myself, you know what? My wife, I remember having a conversation with her on the Kefongi, and she was like, so graduation, boy, what are you gonna do next? What do you want to do next? Let's conquer the world. I said, you know what? I want to go to college. I want to go to college. And she said, really? I said, you know what? She said, here, she said, here, let's look up what are the top in Utah, what are the top careers that are felon friendly. Because no matter what,
I love that.
Yeah, no matter what, whether you're you got a college degree or not, you're a convicted felon. There's some places that the door is shut on you. You know what I mean? Yeah, absolutely. So we looked it up. You know, culinary arts was in top 3. It was like mechanics, welding, culinary arts, and you know, I've never been like get the hands patpala. You know what I mean? That's just like I don't want 30 hands. You know, I'm
clean.
Yeah,
you like clean fingernails.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So I'm good with cooking food. I ended up going to culinary arts my last 2 years of my 7. And I walked out of prison with a high school diploma, a culinary arts degree, and 2 years.
Sorry, I gotta cut you off because I'm an idea guy.
You good.
I
you
hear
good.
something that's happening already right here. Have you? I know you gone behind the wall. Talk to the fellas. Have you utilized your cooking to share with them?
No, so the closest I've done was go into the women's culinary arts program and speak to the women about how I utilize, you know, because a lot of them think, man, we're just getting these real life skills, and because we're convicted felons, we can't apply it. Yeah, you can't apply it. And I go in there and I say, look, man, I was incarcerated with y'all. I gained this certificate,
possible.
this degree. Yeah, it's up to you whether you get out and apply it and utilize it in your reality. Now, you can easily get out and get caught up back in what you've been doing your whole life. But what do they say about insanity? It's doing the same thing
over and over
and
again,
expecting something different.
Yes.
You know what I mean, Us? And it's like, bro, I'm no different than any of my Usos, my Tocos, any person that got out of prison and gained some knowledge and applied it into their reality, into their life to benefit their family. I'm no different.
Bro, I'm saying we should do, since you got your culinary degree, we should do because, you know, we've heard all these stories about how you have to survive in prison and the culinary delights that the men and women come up with.
Yeah, they do.
If you throw everything on the table, bro, that's something positive we can do. A competition utilizing the commissary who can come up with the best recipes.
I love that.
Under those perverse circumstances.
I love that.
And
That's a great
we got
idea.
a judge. We got
idea.
a chef already.
I love that.
You know,
we could do some like Hell's Kitchen.
Yes. Yes.
Is it?
How do you make your
name?
saimini?
Yeah. Who makes this? And you see. So I wasn't a big spread guy. You know, the spread is like everything mixed together with the saimingi, the squeezed cheese, the chili, the sosisi.
It's called the spread guy. Okay, that's the right
name. And they put it on a
name.
table. I wasn't with the chips. You know, I was a. I don't want to say I was bougie. You know what I mean? But
he was bougie. Oh my God. When you say I don't want to be bougie, you're bougie.
Yeah, so I was like a Lysol, the beef bowl. You know, they give you dry rice. You could buy dry rice and you just hydrate it with water.
Yeah.
The Lysol, and then you get like some carnitas put some soy sauce on it. Like I like bowls, so every time I make bowls, a lot of the homies was like, yeah, I'm good. Hey, Smaqs, let's make some beef bowls. Yeah, let's do it. Let's piece up and do it. You know what I mean? So, dude, that's a great idea. And the thing about our people, right, pertaining to the Polynesian culture, you know, we get around the table and we fight and we eat and we talk. And it's no different in prison, Ooze. The boys get together.
good
They
to hear.
celebrate each other's birthdays. They on holidays. They celebrate holidays. They all piece up together. We all have a list.
Okay.
We all go
No,
ngai. You know what I
I hear
mean?
what you're saying. You got to do your own thing. Keep yourself going. How much of the outside world would inmates like to see? I know they want people to come and put money on their books, and I've heard all of those stuff. But the visit, can you talk about how much a phone call, how much a visit really does make a difference to those behind the bars? And we're so free, we don't really understand the power that we have in what a hello can do.
Man, Uso, and it's like, I got a lot of guys in there. They get disconnected because of family, and I get it. In our culture, it's taboo to talk about addiction. It's taboo to talk about incarceration. But just because we don't talk about it doesn't mean it's not happening. You know what I mean? So they tend to with our families, and it's understandable, right? But now that we want them to be better, you gotta answer them calls. You know what I mean? For myself, right? My wife, she answered the calls all the time, and it gave me drive. It gave me purpose. You're in prison full of macho, egotistical. My shit don't stink. I'll stab you if you look at me crazy.
That's how I got it here.
Toxic masculinity. That's what you're surrounded by. So to be able to get the answer or a letter of encouragement, words of affirmation, bro, that kept me going. So it's super important. And I understand, with our culture, right? It could be embarrassing, but that doesn't take away from the fact that this is still our brother. This is still our sister that's suffering from something that just a little love could help them, give them the motivation. A lot of times we stay in the life that we continue to live out there in the negative life because we're not given the place at our table with the family. We're not given that space. And even though that's I understand that. Yeah. But if you want to eventually bring your family member out into the fold and make them become better and show them you gotta have love for them still, man. Love, like they say, man, love conquers a multitude of sin. So love is important, Oos, and those calls, those letters, man, they played a pivotal role in my reality.
To that end, that's why, when I saw what you're doing, I said I gotta find a way to get where I can talk to the inmates, and it's not from a place of fear poco, because I grew up broke too. I grew up poor.
Absolutely.
And I remember sitting there, and these guys who were playing on the All Blacks, they had retired. Yeah. Right? And they came, and we were big. I'm like, oh man, so let these guys play. This good. But it didn't, for me, it didn't have the weight that I needed.
It didn't hit like it should.
For example, The Rock makes so much waves, so much commotion wherever he goes. He's doing it. He's using his platform, whether it's a nonprofit to give back to underserved kids. I don't have a platform like Dwayne, but I am in a place where I would love to give back, and I got that. I'm learning it from you and other men and women who are saying, I'm in a place that I can maximize the help. Absolutely. That's basically what and all I want to do, Uzo, is I would love to come over there. Just if they need somebody to talk to tell jokes, just to get by. I'm not there to point fingers, say, you know what, you should have done it this way. No, that's not what I'm about. I just want to be
absolutely.
I
got you, Uso. I got you, and I know we touched on it a little bit, but Uso, whenever I got some things going on, but before I mentioned that, I just want to say, Uso, you're not The Rock, Uso, but you walking into those gates will create more of an impact for our people than The Rock ever could. You know what I mean? Like I said, I sat in prison and watched you every morning, Oos. Every morning. I sat there and I would look and I say, man, dude, I felt connected. And I know all the boys feel that. Tamara Vaifanua, she's another one that used to be, just to see our people being represented on the big screen, on a big stage like that, where, for myself, Oos, it gave me motivation, Oos, to know that, damn, man, I could be that. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. This is full circle, Uso, to sit at this chair with you and Kalanoa Uso and talk about whatever we want to talk about. You know what I mean? Yeah. And for sure, you gonna get in there because I'm gonna get you in there. I've been doing it so long in the prison. I got the keys, Uso. You know what I mean?
I just want to help.
Yeah, that's it.
I got no hidden agendas other than just try to help our people.
And now it's just to where we'll obviously the next stage for us is just to talk about what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it, and I love it. You know what I mean? But so, and on the 30th, I'm taking one of our Hawaiian brothers, Kyle Kilau Singh.
Bro, you better stop right
Kyle
now. I
Kilau
saw
Singh.
that dude's story. Oh
Man,
my
Uso,
gosh, that
and
guy's
he has
story.
a great story, Uso. And young kid played Tiger Woods, played
Bro,
with
you
Tiger
talk
Woods.
about bro. I don't even want to steal his thunder, man. That guy's story is bro.
I know,
dude. Shout out to you, man.
Yeah, August 30th, I'm taking Kyle Kilau Singh. I put an event together to take him back in there, and that's the thing. I like to take guys who like myself, who have suffered from addiction, who have suffered from incarceration, who have figured themselves out through their higher power or through just the willpower inside on their own, and pulled themselves out the trenches and became successful.
What a treat,
because it's
man.
important to see that.
What a treat for the inmates.
Absolutely.
Actually, not just the inmates, anybody.
Anybody's
going to hear that guy's story. Wow,
Man,
what an incredible gift,
absolutely.
bro. Good for you.
Thank you.
So to that end, being a trailblazer, I would love to follow in your footsteps. Let's take one last break. When we come back, I would love to talk about your new ventures, what things that you're doing, how do we follow you, how do we get on your vibe, because you are a vibe on your own,
Thank you,
man.
Uso.
All right,
Thank you, Uso.
so don't move muscle. We'll be right back.
Let's go.
I'll ask you if you ride, you tell me if you rollin', if you want to. Yeah, you pick that destination, and I'll keep it in rotation if you want to. Yeah, only if you want to, though. Yeah, let's take a trip down the block. Phone knucklehead fools, got a Camry and be riding till the sun go down. Getting high in the moon, ooh yeah. The second trip don't stop. We never running out of juice. Yeah, we got a think fast. This money don't last. Say what you know about the crew. What you wanna know about the rebellion clip. Had the vision when I hit that bed. This collision gonna hit like cash. I'm telling everyone we stick like family. I still believe in a moment's time. Whatever happens, it happens, I don't mind. I got a reason for all my tries. I got a reason for why I ride. I'll ask you if you ride. You tell me if you rollin', if you want to. Yeah, you pick that destination, and I'll keep it in rotation if you want to. Yeah.
What I make now in a day used to make in a month. Scrounge for change, now I break down apes in a blunt. Yeah. Making plays daily as I stay in the cut. Really started from the bottom, now the paper is up. Highs for the low, tag never raising it up. Squad getting to these checks like we play for the Bucks. Dress bummy, pocket straight, never wasting my funds. Loud on deck, push heavy like I'm weighing a ton. Got it out the mud, no handouts. Never taking shortcut, but I'm on a fast route. Used to nickel and dime in the present, getting racks now. Really in the field, I ain't talking about no camp out. On the front line, ducking one time.
Welcome back. We're talking to the one, the only Smaqs Uso
Mafioso. Yeah, now you good, Uso.
It is a great name. That's why it's a great name.
Absolutely.
But you've been in this scene for a while. You've taken your life lived experiences. You've turned it into a hustle to help others.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to ask you about, do you have a new podcast? What are something new? What we talked about the 30th you're going in, but tell me about Smaqs as an influencer and what you got coming up to continue to do God's work.
Absolutely. So what I do is like I just mentioned a little while ago. I like to take in, guys into the prison that have suffered from addiction, that have suffered from incarceration, that have come from the same lines and the same lives that I've come from and did the same thing I did on a different scale. Everybody's reality is subjective. Yeah. Everybody's reality different. Not everybody's reality is going to look the same. So I like to take these different lives in there, whether white, black, Mexican, Samoan, Tongan, whatever it is, to get in front of there and show these men of what it looks like to come from that life and still become successful. It's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's super important for me to get those guys in there. And with podcasting, I got a podcast called Cage No More. It used to be Grimy to Shiny, but like I said, we're doing a pivot as far as branding. So
you intro now. Yeah, I got you. I know.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, you gotta, fight market.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Kids.
Marketing. You know what I mean? So that's just another way for me to get that information out there. And a lot of times, I mentioned it before, I don't like to, but some of what I do, get perceived very minimal, but in a negative light, Oos. Because
Sometimes,
it's
yes,
like
okay,
because
okay.
it's like, hey, why do you go in there and you take cameras? Why do you always take cameras? You know, and is it just for likes?
I'm gonna speak on this. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go finish.
and it's
Go
like,
ahead.
well, my thing is like, you would never know that there's men in there trying to become better if I didn't take those cameras in there and show you what it looked like.
Yeah.
You would never know that there's people like myself who has suffered from incarceration and addiction and went into these prisons and was actually let back into these prisons to be able to spark growth and change. You wouldn't know that if you weren't scrolling on your TikTok, scrolling on your Instagram, and you didn't see my video come across you, right? So, Oos, I look at it as this. I opened the door, Uso, and the floodgates opened. Every person that wants to help are reaching out.
They were waiting for somebody.
Now that they see that it could be
Yeah.
done, there's all kinds of people, formerly incarcerated individuals, now peer support specialists, or whatever facets of life they have become, that go back in there.
Here's the difference. You're not out at a soup kitchen handing out sandwiches while taking a selfie. That's
Absolutely.
not what this is.
Absolutely, no.
You're using your life lived experiences and showcasing, like, look, if I had to do it all over again, here are the lessons that I would have utilized from what I learned.
Blueprint.
So if I had to do it, I would have done this, I would have done this. That's what I get from you. And so for everyone that is saying, why you got to show the cameras, why you got to bring in the cameras in, so at that point you got to understand it's not really about you.
Absolutely.
I don't get that when I'm watching what you're doing.
Appreciate
I look
you.
at you as the vehicle. You know, just like there's a CBS, just like there's a
Absolutely.
Fox, just like there's an ABC, just like there's any influencer.
Absolutely.
And they have their own channel. I think this message is a very important message. And I want to say thank you for being brave.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being vulnerable and
Love,
putting
bro.
yourself out there, because I'm sure you get messages from all kinds of people. Nobody wants that. Nobody opens
Absolutely.
themselves up to ridicule. Nobody opens themselves up to criticism when you're doing what you feel is what you
Absolutely.
need to do.
It's purpose for me. Oos.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like, you know. And the difference between me and you know, let's say CBS or Fox News, because they go in there, right?
Yeah.
And they go in, you know what the inmates do? They go the opposite direction. When I go in, they come to my direction because they know who I am.
You're trusted.
Yeah, not anybody can just walk in there. They know this is Smaqs.
Yeah.
Damn, Smaqs 5-10 years ago, he was in here.
So
You know what I mean?
Let me see. Along those lines, that's where I was inspired to go while I'm still have this platform, because it's easy for anybody to go after you've retired, after you're not so busy.
Absolutely.
Right? But when those, I feel like if I was back there and, like, for example, someone who can make a difference, someone who has, let's say, The Rock, just
Yeah.
because he's the most
Yep,
famous
yep.
person right now and he's one of us.
Absolutely.
If The Rock went on a campaign to visit the prisons and talk to the men and women behind the bars, his weight would carry so
Absolutely.
much power because of where he's at. Now, if we wait till he's retired,
Yeah.
where he's no longer at the
Washed
forefront,
up.
you know, it'll still be newsworthy.
Absolutely.
But you won't be on the front page anymore.
No.
Right? We're in the editorial section now.
Absolutely.
And that's what the difference is. What I'm trying to say is that if we are all in a place where we are thriving and we have an opportunity to make a difference, I think it's incumbent, just like you took the stewardship, just like you took the responsibility to change from grimy and shiny
Absolutely.
to cage no more.
Cage no more.
There's a growth.
Absolutely.
Right?
Sao.
So, and I don't know if that's for every culture. I just know that that's part of my culture.
Absolutely.
And I can't deny it.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for being a shining star,
Man,
a
Kyle,
bright
also.
example. In closing, how do we follow you? What would you like to say to the younger Smack?
Yeah.
If you had a chance to sit across from the younger Smack, 18-year-old Smack,
Yeah.
what would you say to them? And in sense, what would you say to that younger generation?
For sure. So first, to follow me on Instagram, smaqs.mafiuso, MAFIAUSO, Smaqs, SMAQS. And on TikTok, it's Smaqs Mafiuso too. Just look it up. You know, I'm on there. And to the younger generation, to the young Smaqs, you know, I would tell him to look around, and celebrate yourself and the people who love you, because a lot of times as young people, we don't, coming from that life, we don't feel loved. We don't feel cherished or important enough to understand our energy and to really understand the purpose that we play in not only our lives but other people's lives. You know what I mean? And someone that's going in the wrong direction, like that question I got from the young kid in school. He talked about how he didn't have his dad, and I was like, man, you just gotta look around. You got men that are trying to lead the way for you. Just follow the right influence.
And also, shout out to your single moms, because a lot of times we feel like we maybe
Absolutely.
you don't have a male figure, but bro, you gotta look at your mom. She's been your male figure.
And that's what
bruh.
I said, man, you got mom's still in your life. I said, man, love on moms.
Yeah.
Because she's doing what she got to do.
And she's more manly than any man in your life right now. So you better take that.
Absolutely.
God will fight.
Yeah, Uso. And that's where I'm at. I'm gonna continue doing the work. I'm gonna continue doing the work and speaking for the people that nobody wants to talk to.
On that end, what if people have stories that haven't made the light? Can they reach out to you and say, man, I could really use some help. I got a brother, I got a sister behind. I mean, right now, people are listening to you.
Absolutely, and I get that question a lot on my socials. Hit me up on my socials. I get questions from mothers. I got, like I said, I got about 25,000 followers on TikTok, and they're all formerly incarcerated individuals. Some individuals are headed to incarceration. Yeah. Some are moms, some are dads. So I get questions a lot about, man, I'm dealing with this with my son, or I'm dealing with this with my husband. What is your advice? I'm always going to give you guys the best energy that I possibly can with the knowledge that I've acquired up until this point. I'm going to give it to you from my experience.
You have a place where we can send money? Because if you're in these prisons,
yeah.
Again, I'm just going off of my limited experience. I had a buddy who was locked up, and we would go in and visit him, and we put money on his books. I don't know if you have that capability, but if there are people out there that say, you know what, I wish I could go, but I can't. How about if I just give you some money so that when you're in there, you know, maybe a honey bun might sound good. Maybe some side meat coming from the USO.
Yeah, they're right. As of right now, I don't have a space where it's kind of hard, right? Because
red tape.
Yeah, it's not even well, especially with that. But even on my own for my own personal, like, hey man, help you like what I'm doing, help fund what I'm doing. Yeah. You know, even that's hard because I you know, we come from a prideful culture where we don't want to ask for help. You know what I mean? So I'm still working out the kinks.
He's still Samoan.
Yeah.
Real talk. Coming with just the same. Shorty, what's up? Nah, we good. Shit. We got Vienna sausage.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So I would say donate to these local organizations like Day One. Like I said, we just had the event with Day One. It's a local organization. You know what I mean? And they don't get funding to help what they do. You know, and that helps people who are coming out from prison. You know, and you know, eventually I'm gonna get to a point.
He's not there yet.
Yeah,
folks.
I'm gonna start working on something where I can take donations to help fund because what I want to do is I don't want it just to be Utah State Prison. I want to hit every single prison in the United States.
Well, you said they're everywhere. You said we're all over.
To share my story, to share, you know, my reality and my experience of being incarcerated and what I did, the 4 steps that I took to get out of prison and stay out.
Let me ask you this, because we are talking about men and women incarcerated. We are talking about the adult system.
Absolutely.
Is there a movement to go even earlier, maybe go to the juvenile detention centers where our young men and women, and maybe sometimes the career inmate starts there? Are we looking at trying to help at that level?
Absolutely. So that's something that I've actually added on to what I've been doing now, is speaking to you know, either students or people who haven't been incarcerated, but that are on the way to that life, or we could rear them out of that direction, right? So I'm in that space, but they're like Day One does it. My boy Michael Uliberry, he goes into the detention center and DTs. And what's funny is 2 years ago, there was probably 5 convicted murderers that were teenagers, convicted youth.
Wow.
Right? And right now, and this was just about almost a year ago when I went into the DT and talked with them, there's 31 convicted teenage youth murderers incarcerated on their way to prison.
There's a problem.
Yeah, so they have, and it's only getting worse. So we got, you know, guys like Michael Uliberry, some of the Day One guys, they go into the DT, they go in there and they try to be a peer support to this younger generation, because a lot of these young men, we were piloting a program that was going to be able to have them when they do their time and they get sent to the prison, we have somewhere where they land with a mentor to land them and to say, hey, they're already going to be in prison.
You're not getting there completely new.
Yeah, so we're also, so that too, but also trying to steer the young youth away from getting there.
I had a buddy who was out there at Decker Lake, Patrick Burton. He was doing pickleball lessons.
Oh, okay.
He's actually the official Olympic Greek team.
Yeah.
Olympic Greek team pickleball coach. He said he went out there. Now it didn't speak to everybody.
Yeah.
Right? Pickleball doesn't speak to everybody.
No.
But I was wondering, maybe we could do programs like that. I've seen movies, Forever Strong, where they had kids who were behind at detention centers form a rugby team.
Absolutely.
And they played local teams. Can we do stuff like that?
I'm sure
I don't know.
I wouldn't personally know, but I know they hold tournaments in there all the time for sports, and maybe that's something we could do. We could put together some. I know. So handball is big in there.
Yeah.
Handball, sometimes all you got is a ball and a wall. You know what I mean?
By yourself.
You got the ball and the wall.
Ba-da.
So handball is a big thing in there. I know they do tournaments. Why not put together the tournament where we host it? That sounds fun too. You know what I mean?
Low-hanging fruit, just
Absolutely.
what's already there.
Just let them bang it out and have a winner at the end, and we'll create something good for them for something like a.
Whatever it is, I would love to offer our support here. Everyday people would love to. Whatever we can do to give back, we really appreciate
Absolutely.
it. In closing, just want to shout out, if you would like to get a free ticket to Canna Fan Fest happening September 27th at Granary Live, go to cannafanfest.com, find out how to get your free ticket. Also, our Usos over there at Honolulu Grill, they have have you tried their butter cake?
Which Honolulu?
Honolulu Grill. They're West Jordan and St. George.
I haven't.
Bro, that cake, I don't
Really?
care what diet you on. That one,
Oh, yeah. Broke the mouse?
Yeah. But here's the thing I love about them. It's a way that I like to bridge our culture. They have a kava aid.
Oh,
They've turned kava into delicious. It tastes fruity,
Oh, I
no
love
sugar.
that. I love that.
So again, for me, it's a way we can hand somebody else our culture. So let's
Absolutely,
try this.
yep.
That's all. So shout out to
I
those
love that,
guys.
man.
And 3 to 5 Aloha hours, you get 10% off. In closing, any last words before we say goodbye and bring on one more Canna Fan Fest artist? What would you like to say, my brother?
I would like to probably address the young influencers out there, right? And we've touched on it a little bit, but I just want you guys to understand that we have a responsibility to either uplift or put someone down in the dirt, either spread knowledge or spread negativity that's not really going to benefit anyone in any way, shape, or form. So if you have a large platform, like we talked about earlier, specifically our Polynesian influencers, we have the Fasa Mo, we have Fa'alo. You got to have respect and think long and hard, before we say something, because once it's in the books, it's in the books. And we want to make sure that we're uplifting our youth, that we're steering them in the right direction and creating greater, stronger young men and women. And that's kind of where I'm at, Oos.
And that's not to say that other cultures don't have respect too.
No, absolutely. Respect goes a long way for every culture, man, and it's important. It's not always about clicks. It's not always for the most part. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. You know what I mean? When it's coming from a place of love and a place of nurturing, that's gonna go a lot longer. That'll never be forgotten.
Thank you again for being a shining example of what a human being should be.
Thank you. I love that.
No, it's not even what a Samoan, what a Mexican, what a human being should actually be doing, helping his fellow man.
I love you say that because I like to say I'm a professional human being.
Okay? You're not professional yet because you're not getting paid for
Absolutely.
it. Yeah. When you
You
get
ain't
paid,
lying.
then I
You
will
ain't
say
lying.
he's a professional human
you ain't
being.
lying. We gotta monetize.
I'm trying to help you.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
trying
with
to help
that,
you.
Oos. I love that.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We got more exciting guests throughout the week on Friday, Everyday People. But thank you for tuning in. Like we always say, if we help one person through this show, we've done our job. As my wife likes to always say on Everyday People, please be kind. Have a good night. God bless and goodbye. All right, we'll see you guys. Palaya.
11. Damn! Now I'm playing with you. Give me a sec.
Get it. I'm ready, bro. What's good? What's up, B? It's gonna be a good night, bro. Get it.
AOV, ain't that Daisy right there?
Damn, it is. I haven't seen her in a minute, yo.
Hey, I heard she was old boy.
Shoot, I bet she's still thinking about me, though.
my life, I be on the run.